significantly fewer people watch women's basketball. There are plenty of theories why. Women don't score as much. They don't run as fast. They don't dunk. Women's sports, in general, are not worth watching.
The police often question him just because they find him interesting. His beard alone has experienced more than a lesser man's entire body. His blood smells like cologne. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis.
And that intro is wonderful. It's not even an intro to our show.
I know. I was trying to decide which one to use today, and I'm just like, you know what? We'll just throw Marm on there.
Yeah, Marm came up with the perfect thing. That was, in case you guys don't know, out there in the world, that was a prequel that Marm put together in anticipation of our long form discussion from 2021, I think it was, of Gene Luen Yang's Dragon Hoops, and that was the comic that broke Twitless. So
I was gonna say you put up a Gene Yang opening and you didn't have Twitless on.
Yeah, well, I'm not in charge of that part.
If anything, that's the best time to put it.
Yeah, it will. It will keep. He won't.
So we don't have to spend the first half hour talking about it.
Yeah, but anyway, that was of course courtesy and with permission of number one Marmaduke fan who's out there in the world making comics, and God bless him for that. Also, while we were talking about Marm, I wanted to bring up the fact that he is likely to be visiting this part of the world next month on the 23rd of September. High Plains Minicon is going on, and so far he's almost the only guest. We need to get confirmations from some people, but my day job has been kicking me completely in the nuts. There you are. And tonight we are not joined by Twitless. You might notice that Cartoonicus made mention of it. He is on a break. He's doing some personal stuff in the real world with real people doing real things.
There's a real world?
Oh, yes. So that's a pretty awesome take. As far as I'm concerned, I'm glad for that. And we will have that. Today, we are hitting a topic that was discussed when I took a break for finals a few months ago. The guys got on here, some of these same people, to discuss single panel comics. And as noted in the Dave Vashanovich and Jim Tuner are in the chat. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like the Far Side and Family Circus, yes, that's the kind of thing we're going to be talking a little bit about. And I wanted to highlight some of my faves as it is with those sort of things. And the final break. Captain Cummings has joined us. The final break. Well, except that's not true, Jim. They've shown up several times together. It was not this time. Although I've never seen them in the same place at the same time, though. Well, that's interesting. Of course,
true.
I've never seen them ever.
We're seeing our faces.
I've seen Logan's face, so, but not like in real life.
It's easy to tell us apart. One of us has fur all over our face. The other's a cat.
Yeah. Okay. I take it. Yeah.
That would bring
all right.
Face.
We
have a chat. I do not know. Dave Shanovich from the chat says, do you know who was credited as drawing America's first political cartoon? I do not. I would be fascinated to find out that.
Credited with drawing?
Yeah, which means if you know, drop it in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. If you know, let me know. Give me that good information.
Oh, so, that is interesting.
So one of the things that you guys talked about a little bit and hit on, I want to address again, is the idea of comics as as one panel comics as comics, right? And we say a one panel comic and everybody knows what we're talking about. We're talking about a Far Side, which I've got a big old Far Side book right here. Right. We've got the Addams Family. I got a great big Addams Family book right here, which is for pound, guys. Pound for pound, Charles Addams. That's the stuff right there. You're not getting better one panel comics. Now the Far Side's great. I'm not trying to say that it's not as good as Addams Family, but it's not. You don't get better than that. You do Family Circus, and actually
it's questionable.
It's questionable. Well, it depends, right? And even some of Addams' stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I got some examples that I want to showcase. I didn't do the full Twitless thing and get a huge slideshow of all the stuff that I thought was appropriate. That is an RC Cola.
It is.
That is amazing. That's the classic bottle design too, right there.
$1.16.
Oh man. So now here's the thing.
Second one here too.
So I'm going to break from comics for just a second to talk about a thing. So when I was very small, right? When I was very, very small, we lived in Laramie, Wyoming. And then my family moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I lived in Tulsa from the time I was 5 until I was 10, right? And so, RC Cola, Big Red, they're just around there. They're not, you don't even think about it, right? In 1989, no, actually it was 88. It was October of 88. We moved up here to Scotts Bluff, and to the place where wind is born, which was the first thing that shook me was how cold it was and how windy it was coming in October. But the other thing was you couldn't get RC Cola here at all. You couldn't get RC Cola. You couldn't get Big Red. You couldn't get moon pies. They weren't nobody around here knew what a moon pie was. I was like,
I love moon pies.
Well, I also love moon pies. Well, once again, like I spent like half of my childhood in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, which is not too far from here. Like I could drive to the border in less than an hour.
Yeah. I mean, Tulsa is another border yet, but still, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm already in Oklahoma. It's not too far from there.
So it was one of those things where regional sodas were still totally a thing when I first moved up here. And then, got up here, went to high school, went to Denver, went to Arkansas for school. I moved back and they're selling RC Cola here. Like in the intervening 2 years that I wasn't living in Bluffs, they started selling RC here. And I'm like, it's like I never left.
Yeah.
I go from Arkansas where they've got it back up here where they got it again. It was the
I
craziest
remember
thing.
when drinks were still pretty regional because I was a wee lad. But when we moved from New Jersey down to Texas and I would go back up and visit, they had Yoo-Hoo up there, but we didn't have it down here for the longest time. And then now Yoo-Hoo's everywhere. It's like I can go to the other side of the country randomly and a gas station has Yoo-Hoo in it.
Yeah. Well, and every once and again, I when I first moved back up here, I ended up rooming with some guys from Michigan that were living out here. And they would, whenever they go back home to visit, they'd bring back Werner's ginger soda, which I don't know if you ever had Werner's, but it's it's super good. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But that at that time, this was 98, 99. But it was 98, 99, and you could only get it Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota was the furthest west it would get. So that was something that, and then occasionally, every once and again, there'll be a store here that carries it.
Yeah,
but it's Werner's is like drinking gasoline. I absolutely disagree with you there, Jim.
No, or maybe I do agree, and that's why it's good. It'll put some hair on your chest.
I think Werner's is pretty damn smooth, but Yeah, Tab. I had Tab down. I don't think I've seen Tab since I was a kid though. We used to have that down when I was in Oklahoma. And Dr. Thunder. I will confess to a little of the Dr. Thunder Mountain Lightning.
Oh, the Sam's Club Walmart drinks.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, which I used to pick those up. Right now, they're more expensive than RC.
Oh, really?
Because they've gone up to like 140 or something, and the RC was like 115, 116. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I'm with RC. Why would I?
Well, yeah. If the RC is cheaper, buy the RC always.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, something like that. I think RC is the Royal Crown Cola. It is the best cola, without question, without doubt. The only cola I've liked better, and you can't always get it because it's kind of a specialty thing. I can't remember who was bottling it, but it was an old recipe, a triple cola. That I think that was originally like Washington, Oregon, somewhere out there that would bottle them, and then there was a specialty bottler that was making a bunch of old like vintage sodas and shipping them out. And we had them in our Safeway.
There's a brand I like that comes out of like, I think it's like Northern California, so it's like right there next to that area you're talking about. It was Jones soda, and Jones does have a cola, and I like it a lot. But because they're known for their cream sodas and other flavors, you never see Jones Cola like on the shelves. You have to go out of your way to find them and say, oh, if you want a Jones cream or a Jones green apple, you could find those. But good luck with the cola.
Jones Green Apple is around here a lot.
Oh, it's good. It's a good soda.
And
I love Jones.
Whatever that blue thingy is that looks like Kool-Aid. I've never had it, but yeah. People seem to love the crap out of it if it looks like it might be antifreeze. I don't know.
Has anyone ever been to a soda bottling plant? Yes, I have. When I was a kid, because we used to take field trips. My church had a program called Sizzling Summer, where we would like basically it'd be a daycare type thing, and they would just take us to field trips everywhere. And local to my area in the Dallas County area is the Plano Dr. Pepper bottling plant. So I've been to where Dr. Pepper and RC Cola are bottled.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. When I was a kid in Tulsa, there was a bottling plant in Tulsa that we toured with our school group. But I can't remember for the life of me what they made there. It might have been like Dr. Pepper, but I don't recall. That's the only thing I remember about going to a bottling plant was getting the uninflated bottles. Right? They had like a grab bag, so like every one of the kids can like take one of those uninflated bottles, and it looks like a test tube. It's about yay big, and it's just and what they do is they mold them like that.
I only discovered that this year.
Oh yeah. And then they heat them up with like hot air or something, so it blows into a shaped mold, and that's why every bottle looks different. It's because they blow them into a different bottle based upon what. You also
find out that there's plastic lining the inside of your aluminum cans.
That I discovered like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was watching a YouTube video where this mad chemist was just like, "Hey guys, did you know?" Da, 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 da. And so he like gets himself like one of those, cylinders with a spinner on it, and he mixes different kinds of acids that eat metal. And he had a soda can, just a can of soda sitting in this thing for like 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like something Michael from Vsauce would have done.
Yeah, it wasn't Vsauce, it was something like that though.
Yeah,
dissolve the aluminum, and it's so like the screen pans over, and the bottle's like sitting like the Leaning Tower of Pisa on the top of this acid chemical. And then he pulls it out, and like the bottom is thicker, and so it's still there, but the middle of the can where the under the water level is gone, and it's like the soda is like sloshing around inside the metal container, and I was horrified. I should stop drinking things out of aluminum, apparently.
No, I mean if you can, because it is almost no different than drinking out of glass or a plastic bottle. If you can, glass bottles obviously the way to go. Every single time.
Indeed.
Anyway, it doesn't say who, but apparently the first political cartoon in the U.S. Appeared in published by Ben Franklin in 1754.
I've seen this. I didn't realize that people considered this a political cartoon, but I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as a political cartoon.
No, yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say that this qualifies as a comic.
Yeah.
Right.
No, right. But he said he said political cartoon was
right. So and here's what I was going to do. I was going to go ahead and get the definitions and make slides to show off here, but I didn't have time.
Because that is the weird thing, because political cartoons are kind of where comics come from.
Mm-hmm. And the
Right.
the art of the caricature, right? So and the word cartoon, of course, was it's like an Anglicization of some, I think, Italian word that means like rough drawing.
It was basically the underlying drawing that would be underneath a painting.
Yeah, like a studies for paintings, right? Yeah. So that's where we get cartoons
from. The same root word for map. That's a cart for cartography.
Cartographer.
It's the map of the image you're going to be painting. Yeah.
That. I've never thought about that. That's curious. That's fun. I like it. Anyway, so the thing we have is that comics all tell stories. Like that's what really sets them apart, right? And I'm on board. I'm totally on board with oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget the dude's name. That weird French dude, Terry Gronstein, and the idea that there is actually a graphic language, that the way comics are drawn uses the same kind of brain power that we use in transcribing language, and all that. But it all is in service of a narrative of some sort, right? And every story's got to have a beginning, middle, and end, right? So while Eisner says that comics are sequential art, right? That you got to have multiple images and words play together to move this thing along, right? I don't necessarily, because we don't use words that way in language. We have all sorts of ways where we speak in ways that imply the ending of our sentences, or we tell stories that, like you've seen those crazy 6-word stories people tell, where it's like one sentence, but it sets up a scenario and a cliffhanger in a way that like tells the whole story. Your brain puts it all together. And I think a well done comic, like one panel comic, can be the same thing, where you're still telling a story beginning, middle, and end, but because of the way it's set up, you're implying what happened before and what's going to happen after. And I think the best comics do that. And Far Side, the best one panel comics do that. Far Side definitely does that. The Addams Family, sometimes Family Circus pulls that off too. Sometimes there are moments that could go anywhere or could have started anywhere. So I don't necessarily feel they do a good job of that whole thing, but I think they can. I think it all depends on how it shakes out. And I have got a couple of examples. Oh, okay.
Well, actually, real quick,
I got to back up
this, right? As you get, Wait. Before you do that, I read the etymology for carto, right? And where things like cartography, cartoon, and all that come from. And it is typically associated with maps. But if you go all the way back to older Catalan Latin, it actually is paper. It just happens that at that time, the type of people who would be working with paper were map makers. So anybody who'd be scribing on paper, usually imagery or a combination of the two, would have carta added into the prefix of their work, which would then become cartography, cartoon, anything like that later on.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Yeah. Huh. Crazy. Well, Jim, and Jim brings up an excellent point. If you go with that extended definition, a lot of old fine art paintings are single panel comics. And some of them I definitely think would qualify with that. But I think I think it depends on the intention of the artist, right? Everybody says that like that the death of the artist is the observation of it, right? But I think that intention goes to part of it. I think the artist is intending to tell that kind of a story, right? Not just a moment in time, but actually encapsulating that within the single image, where you're implying what came before, and then you're implying what's coming after as a complete arc, not just as a moment of a greater thing. And that's what I think separates storybook illustrations from single panel comics, because the storybook illustration is meant to picture just one moment that is being illustrated as part of the story of the written words, and it's to amplify the written words that are the meat of it. It's not meaning to, through the single image, tell the whole story. So I think some paintings definitely could fall into that.
There are definitely some storybook illustrations that are accidentally comics.
I would agree with that as well.
Yeah,
I definitely.
Well, I was going to point out that there are actually a lot of old paintings that are multiple panel, and they'll even tell a story from left to right.
Yeah, and I definitely think and I do think that one of the things that kind of sets it apart too, and this is the thing, is a little more esoteric, are the elements within the illustration being used to portray story in a language type format, right? And are we using images in the same way we use language? So let me go ahead before I get into that, because I've got some examples I want to show while we're talking things through. But we do want to draw a comic, and I want to invite people out there to do it. But in order to do it, right, we've got to get some terms down, right? And so I have prepared a sheet to get some ideas down. And so I would love for you guys in the chat to do is metal. Can you bring that up there?
Problems. Since I have multiple things in multiple tabs. Let's see. Present. Where is it? There we go.
Here we go. Oh, you already did that.
Oh, I didn't have to. If one of us just puts the share screen, I don't know why it's not showing. I do have it up in front of me.
That's so strange.
Yeah, it's StreamYard is just being stupid.
Is it because we're trying to use Google Sheets and there's some sort of thing in Google that keeps it from showing up?
I don't know, because
let me try.
If that was the case, you should still at least see the top of my browser. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Well, let me try to share it and just see what happens, and maybe we'll have to do this the hard way, which means
if default, I can always just put it up as my webcam image.
I guess that's true. You've got that set up there. Maybe we ought to go with that direction. Okay, so I will talk while we're waiting for Metal to get the thing figured out here. No, that's not what I meant. I meant to do this. Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, is we've got a sheet that's going to be showing up there eventually. And we want you guys to give us some suggestions of main characters, of side characters, of a setting, and a scenario or events or activities that are going on. And then we are going to bully Cartoonicus into making a one-panel comic based upon the random suggestions that are going on there. And so if we get more than one suggestion, what we'll do is we will go ahead and there we go. Okay, it's sliding over there. Okay, excellent.
You know what? Actually,
if we get more than one suggestion, we're going to go ahead and
lean off the edge. There we go.
Here, I will. Let's see, there's no way to do this way, is there? That puts all of us out of it. Oh, okay. No, that's not what I meant.
I can make it bigger since there's only 4 columns. That's not a problem.
Well, maybe, I could do. Maybe we do that. Make it. Let's see if we can make it bigger, and then we can go ahead and put us all on the screen. Yeah. Professionalism right in front of you, everybody. That's how we do it here on the show, the old show. Anyway,
we probably don't need any more than 10 rows.
Right. If we get any more on there, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll use dice, our magic 6-sided friend, to determine what we're going to have guilt Cartoonicus into drawing for us for free. And if you guys are out there at home, you can join along and draw too.
Oh yeah, you can either drop your finished stuff in the Discord. You could at us, specifically me, because then I could go and put it on screen for everybody to see.
On your social media of choice. So.
Oh yeah, I'm everywhere.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. So first of all, let's go ahead and line up some characters that we might want to see in play here.
Should we put on some waiting
And then he
music?
accidentally killed himself.
I don't think I'd go that extreme. Yeah, see.
So
We should put on some waiting music.
some waiting music. I can put on some waiting music. I think I can do that. No, that's this one here. And no, that's just okay. Daydreaming, feeding the ducks. I like the sound of feeding the ducks.
Whoop, I thought we were doing characters first.
I don't know. I don't know that I actually like this song, but I like the idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that's. I thought you were saying that would be the event that someone was suggesting. Daydreaming or feeding the ducks.
Well, those are background music that come on the platform here.
All right.
Although we do have, I will go up the top of the list. Jim Tuner threw out some fun stuff that we could go ahead and do here. Super Bat Gator Hulk. I don't know if that on the list, or if he was thinking about cartoons in other ways. But I think we could definitely play with that if we wanted to.
Super Bad Gator. Oh boy.
Yeah, it was the thing I was describing to you before Matt came in earlier.
Oh, please don't. That was a bad joke.
Well, now we gotta put it in.
That's perfect. Okay, I'm going to suggest a character. I want the Take On Me guy.
I have no idea who that is.
You're not familiar with the music video to
I know
Aha's
the song. I don't know
1980s
anything
hit
about
"Take
the
On Me"? Well, he's a generic Norwegian-looking guy in a leather jacket.
Yeah.
But we could look up photo reference. But I don't know. That's just one character. If everybody else thinks that's a horrible idea, we probably won't do that.
I mean,
But nobody else has said anything else. Okay,
that's the problem. Yeah.
We're gonna have to
that's
go
the
Gator Hulk.
problem.
Though
Somebody
I think
out there is having
Take
a-
On Me guy would probably be a better like side character in the other
Take a
characters.
look.
Side character?
than he would be. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dave
okay.
says he's thinking. Appreciate that.
Allow me to jump ahead then and put in the event category. Trying to buy RC Cola.
I like that idea.
Okay.
That seems appropriate to the show. Also, while we're waiting, I want to reflect back on a comment Jim made talking about factories. I've been to a microwave popcorn factory. The workers get a disease called butterloan. That sounds horrifying.
That sounds like there are worse ways to die.
Okay, here is a whole series.
Ooh, oh
A
dear.
goose attacking a child wearing glasses, attempting to feed the ducks.
Okay, so that
So-
sounds like a main character, another character, a possible setting, because just because they're feeding the ducks doesn't
Yeah,
mean it
so
has to
let's
be a
break this
duck
down
pod,
here.
Definitely
Yeah,
not.
I say let's put that down
A
on
goose
the
and a
main
child would be in the characters.
Yeah.
Feeding
a
the
goo-
ducks would be in the setting. Or
I feel like
possibly
the
the
goose
event.
is a side character here because the terror of the child is the main thing.
Okay,
happening.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got two different. Okay.
Just pick one.
So they're getting it all, you know.
I feel like setting is feeding the ducks, and the event could be putting on glasses.
Oh, I forgot.
He's not putting them on. He's just the child is wearing the glasses.
He's already wearing the glasses.
Okay.
Maybe spectacled child.
Because the glasses could be fit to the other categories here.
Yeah. So I guess the actual event is a goose attack,
No,
which would be
that's
funny
true. You're right.
if the goose was not the other character in a goose attack comic.
if the child is attacked by the aha guy.
Wait a minute. The goose.
But he attacked him like a goose attack. So like the aha guy has like his hands back behind him and his neck cranked down like he's going.
And he's taking on the goose.
Yeah.
The goose is taking him on.
That's horrifying on so many levels, and I think I might love it.
Just pick one. Did we should a setting be a popcorn factory?
I think a popcorn factory could be a setting. Sure.
Yeah, I can put popcorn factory. I'm not going to specify that it's a microwave popcorn factory. I think we'll understand that.
I agree. I think that's probably good.
One thing I will not be doing is trying to draw butter lump.
Well, it's an internal disease, so implicit.
You'd have to have somebody broken open with a goose to be able to see the butter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that might be a little much for our show.
Or I guess
Just
you could have
maybe a
maybe somebody like coughing and like butter is coming out of them as they cough.
No,
like
no,
little droplets of butter.
no, not gonna happen. I have standards.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's like a miner's black lung, but butter.
I think that's probably exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. Okay, so cooking popcorn can also be a separate event that is completely detached from the popcorn factory.
I think that would be fair. I think that would be fair.
Because it would still be weird if, like, you were feeding the ducks and cooking popcorn at the same time.
Okay.
I actually did that not too long ago. Jim Tier says to Google the Aha Take On Me music video print set of the comic book to see what the original comic art looked like.
Yeah. I was looking on Brave and I found a ton of articles, but I did not find the prints of the book itself. So maybe it's because I looked on the wrong search engine. Because I have seen that happen before, where that is a factor. I also found out that the dude's the artist's wife actually helped on the project on the art for the comic.
Oh, yep.
But they also they made large scale for the music video. She also directed like the first 5 or 30 seconds of the animation or whatever. That was actually her direction on that.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, wow. And they seem adorable too. They've been married since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So, or at least they had been as of 2016 or whatever when the article was written.
I mean, that makes sense though, because like a lot of direction when it comes to any type of animation is basically storyboarding and keyframes. So if you're an artist, that's like the perfect person to put in.
And I am fascinated with the idea of long-term marriage. I think it's adorable. But
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I mean, you'd hope it was the standard, but
So what is this? Hold on.
okay. So do we have any other things we from the chat? Other characters, supporting characters, settings or events that are part that we can roll up into our comic in a power panel. Popcorn power
I
panel
mean, I guess we could put a power panel as
as a setting. Yeah, I think that's that's the
How about take on the music video print of set comic book, and this is what comes up.
yeah. Definitely one of the panels. That's awesome.
There's another one. Oh, it's still loading.
I still am desperate to find out what what was sticking in his head from reading comics back in Britain in the 50s. But so,
well, I'd assume
okay.
the state of Britain in the 50s, reading comics is probably the only thing keeping it sane.
That's part of it. Definitely a factor. So,
Ouch!
so anyway. So let's move on. We should probably roll or figure out what we've got here, right? So we only have one main character. So I think our bespectacled child will be the main character. Is that a fair assessment?
By default, yes.
Oh, I got you.
By default, okay. And then we have to decide if it's a goose or the Take On Me guy.
What if we combine them? Put a
Would
goose
you like
in
to
a
draw
leather
both
jacket?
of them? A goose and the Take On Me guy?
No, we put a goose in a leather jacket and give him spiky white hair.
Okay. Sure. I suppose that's probably fine.
Remember, I'm good at drawing anthros.
This is true. So we're gonna get a
Scandinavian
1950s
pup
inspired goose.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So our 19 inspired goose will be one feeding
Sounds
the-
like
the
a
ducks,
character that should have
two.
been a Rockadoodle.
right. We feed the ducks, or we feed the ducks, or at a popcorn farm, or at a power panel. Which, in case you don't know, that's like a circuit breaker box. Everything goes into a house. So there are three options. So I will
Six-sided die.
six-sided die, and 1 and 2 is 1, 3 and 4 is 2, 5 and 6 is 3. Okay. Got a 5. So he's at the power panel. That's where it's going down. Now let's find out what's going to happen. We've got three options here. They're trying to buy an RC Cola.
The power panel's the wrong place to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, kid, you got any RC Cola? Hey, hello, Fizz. There will be a goose attack. I sent Matt a picture of a power panel that cooked popcorn. That's true. That's true. I did.
Help me understand here. What is a power panel? Are we talking about a fuse box?
It's like a fuse box, but they're for wiring. They're not necessarily just for fuses. They could be for putting like if you're doing like a big commercial building where you're combining several circuits together. They may not be fused. They could just be wired in a power panel.
But this is still just a small box on the wall, right?
Well, yeah, they can be really big though. I mean, I've seen them in like garages and commercial buildings that are like 3 foot tall and like 12 foot wide. We're just,
but I would have a perfect example of a picture. When I was in college, my roommate was doing some photography stuff, and we basically broke into this abandoned building at the end of the school that they probably didn't care that we were in there. It was abandoned because of like black mold and stuff, and we scouted the room before going in. But we went into the electrical room, and he took some pictures of us in front of like they had many power panels in that room, and it would have been the perfect example. I just have no idea where the picture is right now.
Well, let me see if I can't find the one that Philip sent me. No, that's not there. See if I can show it here. It'll pick it up. Yep.
You know, Phil says he's got many pictures of messed up power panels. That sounds like quite the gallery.
It's a collection. You should print them up and put them in a museum as an art thing. Okay, so we're to our event, right? Which is also 3 options because nobody else has said anything. So does this make Rhys the dungeon master tonight? I think it might be.
Another D6.
Another D6. Once again, 1 and 2 is 1, 3 and 4 is 2, 5 and 6 is 3. And I got 6. So they're cooking popcorn. That's a power panel.
All right, I was really rooting for RC.
So,
so it's going to be a child wearing glasses, and I guess the take on me goose is going to be at a power panel trying to use the power panel to cook popcorn.
Okay, so while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and
Goose
kill
is the adult in the room, so obviously the goose needs to be the one holding the popcorn to cook it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so we said a goose attacking the child, right? So what?
No, this is not a goose
attacking the child.
Oh no, because I was gonna say, what if they was just having the popcorn fly out of the pan at him?
Well, I guess that's an option you would have.
I mean, at this point, because anybody who wants to draw this can do the same, but Cartoonicus, you are the artist. You can interpret this prompt however you want.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, we will have a discussion about whether or not I would consider it to be a comic or merely a cartoon.
Well, I think it could be both.
Yeah.
Right? But no matter what, because Cartoonicus is making it, it is a cartoon.
Yeah, no, I think.
Fair enough.
I think most comics are cartoons. Right?
Well, I think also just because of his namesake, like it just is also
right. Well, of course. Of course. Yeah. So, okay. So while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and share some screens and talk about some comics. Now, I'm going to share one of my favorite, absolutely favorite political comics. It's inspired by Aha's Take On Me, Industrial Accidents, and Untitled Goose Game. Oh, what the hell do I do with this show? Okay, So this is one of my favorite political cartoons, and it is from the turn of the last century, before the development of the Fed.
Oh,
And
Better time.
the thing I loved, and not to get into the politics of how much I hate the Fed and how much it simply exists to steal from you.
You're not going to get any pushback here.
Not to get into that. The thing I want to point out about this that I absolutely love, and let me see, can I make that any larger if I do that? Okay, yeah, that made it a little bigger. Okay, awesome. The thing that I love about this is that about this cartoon, and I question on whether or not this can count as a comic per se, right? Because it doesn't really have a beginning, although it does have an end in place where the octopus that is the Federal Reserve is clearly just stealing all of your money and delivering it to Wall Street, because so there's but that they do imply activity with the art, right? The art is speaking the language of action, even as it's talking about this. So you could disagree with the premise of it, but I don't think you could misunderstand the premise of the cartoon, which is why I think that this kind of it bridges that space between comics and cartooning, right? Because it through the art is speaking the language of action, and it incorporates time, multiple time within the single drawing,
right.
Because this is an ongoing process that you're seeing with all of that. And so, yeah, what do you guys think? What about that?
Well, it is interesting that even without saying it, there's an implied movement from each of these areas up into the main head there, if not purely from the picture of all these, whatever they are, coins, I guess, coming out of its mouth. And we can kind of put two and two together as almost as if, oh, I see. It's kind of like it's sucking stuff from these different buildings into itself, then dropping it down. And so, yeah, there's like this multi-directional, what's it called? A conveyor belt system going on, which completely flies in the face of our normal assumption of left to right reading. We've actually got it coming from every single angle imaginable here, and you can still read it perfectly equal in all directions.
Good observation about reading direction. That's not something I had quite thought about before, but it really does play with the vertical, with the right to left, with left to right.
All right.
So very fun, very fun.
And it made me think immediately of another type of one-panel comic. Let me bring something up here. What was that guy's name? Oh, hold on. Oh, of course, right when I need it, I'm forgetting his name.
Oh. Yeah, that's always when people forget it.
Exactly, right? There it is. This guy did, I think, usually use left to right, but...
What I hate about that phenomenon, too, is when you do finally remember it, it's usually right before you go to sleep when it's completely useless.
Right, yeah. Or in the shower the next morning.
So while you're looking about that, I do want to talk about one bit of trivia that I find sort of interesting. You'll notice that the octopus here has horns. And I always I thought that was crazy, but more was crazy was when I was small, I would read lots of boys' adventure books that were like made in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Hardy Boys and Tom Swift Jr. and those kind of things, and they talk about octopuses as devilfish, and I never could understand why you would call them devilfish, because there's nothing devilish about them at all. They're just an octopus, right? But not everybody saw octopuses back in the day, I suppose. And they did, and I discovered years later that they did draw them with horns as though they were devils.
Oh.
And I don't know why.
Well, I think of the Kraken, right? Nowadays, squid and octopus are very easily used in a lot of demonic or
No, I
eldritch
think I can
horrors
figure out
and
why
stuff.
they have horns.
Why?
Okay, so if you had a carcass of an octopus, which is probably how most people encountered, you might have pieces of its head, you might have pieces of its tentacles. It may not be completely intact. But one thing that would, yes, always remain intact is the octopus's beak, which people may not directly see as a mouth. They might just think it was horns that were part of the octopus.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
That makes sense. Why did anybody associate octopuses with evil? I think it's the unknownness. The whole idea of like sea monsters and chaos monsters and unknown things from the deep. And I mean, there are historical, people argue about how accurate they were, but like the stories of the Kraken were probably based upon those giant sea squids because they sometimes get up close to the surface.
Especially
and
colossal squid.
And it's not common, those big old colossal squid. They're 60, 70 feet long and unlike anything up top.
Yeah.
So
and
I think that the idea that sea monsters, the terror of the sea being a thing.
If anything should be the devilfish, it should be the Humboldt squid, though. Those things are awful.
Because the Detroit Red Wings used to throw octopuses on the ice during National Hockey Playoffs. Detroit is evil.
But speaking of that concept of the unknown, right? H.G. Lovecraft modeled Cthulhu with octopus arms. Right? Okay, so Rube Goldberg, right? Someone who who put together an entire story, one piece at a time, and I forgot he always had the ABC labels here because he would actually explain below in words exactly what each step was and how it would work. So even if it wasn't right to left, he would have a way of leading you through this entire process through those letters.
Well, and I would question, and this is one thing. Once again, to the debate, right, between comics and cartoons, I would challenge anyone to look at this illustration and not think about it being a comic.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean, there just isn't any way it marries English, language and art. Time dilates and compresses through a thing. Action is a part of it. It's not even the same moment of action. Look at this here, right? So the football hasn't been kicked yet, but the little rainy thing, the watering can is already pulled, right? Yeah. So to demonstrate the next thing. So
everything is already happening all at once.
Everything's already happening all at once. And not at the same time. So it's absolutely plays with time in the same way and expresses a story in the same way that multi-panel comics do, and you're looking at a single image. Right. So that would be that's one.
Like to blame Chuck Jones because there's music going through my head just looking at this that I can't control.
Perfect. Forrester Comics, thanks for joining us. He says tentacles seem inherently menacing, like having snakes for arms.
Yeah, I do think that's part of it too. One of the reasons Lovecraft, which he did not inherently give the tentacles arms of an octopus to Cthulhu. That was part of a intentionally bad description because you could not describe the beast that they were looking at.
Okay.
Right. But he did use it a lot because they were supposed to represent tendrils, and tentacles of an octopus are kind of like the only thing that we can really relate to it. Sometimes snakes, sometimes roots of a tree or whatever. But yeah, it's like these snaky, viney, squirmy things that we just can't really process.
And I mean, and think about it here. Like, I mean, in the surface world, right? I say as though I live beneath the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an Aquaman fan. Shut up. Here in the surface world, up top in the air breathers, everything's got the bones on the inside, except for like insects, right?
Right.
And certain crustaceans, right? But like you get those monstrous creatures, they don't even got bones. Well, I mean, cuttlefish kind of have a bone, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah, squid technically have a single rod bone going through them, but yeah.
And they've got the cartilaginous carapace too.
Yeah.
But yeah, those big octopuses can be like 8 feet long, and there's not a bone in them.
But even their like beaks can compress too, right? Because like an octopus can basically get through anything that either their eye or beak can get through.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we're gonna get biologically specific, though, I do also want to add that this is kind of my Frankenstein wasn't the monster issue, but octopus don't have tentacles.
No, squid do. They have arms, but people refer to it as tentacles, and if you try to tell them otherwise, they're gonna look at you cross.
Okay, so
yep.
Since I don't know why you're saying that, and I'm sure you have a really good reason, I'd like to hear it.
The things people call tentacles on a squid or an octopus are not referred to as tentacles. They're called arms.
Okay.
A squid has 2 tentacles on top of its aimed arms. Tentacles are more just like sensory type things. They can be used to grab stuff, but they're not the major pieces you're used to with the suckers on them. Those are arms, and everybody gets it wrong.
Yeah, an octopus actually have nervous system, like a very complex neural system going through their arms, to where their arms basically can kind of think on their own, independent of the rest of the body. Obviously working together, but
that's a real generous interpretation of the word "think."
Well, I mean, as much as any animal does.
No.
Yeah.
Jim Tudor says, "Oh no, science, stop! Let's get back to Goose terrorizing."
So yeah, that's my Frankenstein wasn't the monster. Hang up.
Well, there you go. And Fizz says tentacles are meant for combat, which I don't know if that's true or not. But
it depends on whether you're talking to an anime fan or.
Oh my god. Okay, changing the subject entirely. So I'm going to get back to talking about some other one-panel comics while you out there in the community can draw. We can talk about that. So, see here. I got it to load up here. So let me just go ahead and share my screen again. Now this is Charles Adams. Yeah,
I thought that looked like his.
Yeah, I've got most of these are Charles Adams here because that's what I have the time to look for. Do cuttlefish have tentacles? I don't know.
Nope.
I just know
arms. They're a member of the cephalopod family specifically, which involve cuttlefish, octopods, things like that. Technically, if you get a squid, you are slightly outside of cephalopods to their extended family, and that's where you start to see tentacles.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now this one here, it's a one panel. There's no words on here, but man, I absolutely love this because it's got so clear that you're looking at the middle panel in a 3-panel gag, right? the American Gothic couple have left their painting and they're going to go walk through Manhattan. That's what's about to happen. They're on their way out to take a walk through Manhattan, and it's this country city paradigm in there. There is this the shock of the security guard or whatever he is up there. You've got the juxtaposition of modern art and other art fish movements. And I just absolutely love how this is clearly a middle moment in a story. And and even though there's no words, you're still seeing those same kind of sentence structure being placed in the story, right? So, at least that's my interpretation. I could be really wrong about it, but this I think is a really good example of something like that. So. Likewise, this one here, and it does have, I don't know if you can read the caption here. No. Okay, let me see if I can zoom in on that and see if that makes it more legible for you guys out there. It's an alien knocks on the door, and the woman says, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey, we're all out of candy." So, oddly Farside-ish, and I would agree. Farside definitely breathes a similar place to Adams in his stuff. In fact, some of the Adams pieces I picked are not Adams Family stuff. There are some of his other things that I only got like a handful, so don't get too excited. But yeah, this is another one where I really feel it is telling a story of this alien invasion clearly happening, this woman not being connected to it at all. It's definitely a Mars attack sort of moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but it's definitely the right time of year in that picture for that joke. So everything thematically lines
everything
up.
fits. Exactly. It's a little Far Side, a little Mars attacks, a little Twilight Zone on that. This one is one of my favorites, and I'm going to try to zoom in on that a little bit there. This
was the gag at the beginning of the 90s movie.
Of the 90s movie, yes. It's carolers are down there, and they're singing, and they're about to be poured with boiling oil from the top. Merry Christmas, right? And season's greetings. And but once again, I mean, it's got a predictable beginning, middle, and end story, all told through this one image. I think this is actually, I bring this up here, but I think this is one that Twitless and I have argued about because he feels it's too simple to be a story.
Yeah, it's too static.
That there can't possibly be a story because, I mean, what's a story? Oh, they hear him coming. Oh, there's a thing. Oh, there's the oil on him. How is that a story? I'm like, well, it's got a beginning, middle, and an end. I don't see how it isn't. Not every story is Civil War.
Thank.
So, and I think this is the last Adams one that I picked out here. I'm going through these a lot faster than I expected to. For those of you who are listening, the caption is, "It looks like Vesselman's hit on something interesting." And what there are a series of scientists in a chemical lab that are going through their Edelmeyer jars and their graduated cylinders and their all this sort of stuff. And there are three old or middle-aged scientists who are staring at one very small child in a giant coat. And the implication, of course, is that he has drank something, and
Right.
This is Vesselman, and he has shrunk himself to tiny size.
Now, what's funny is that you could just as easily read this probably as the child
The
is
smartest person
simply
in the room is a kid.
right. And it's like a shot at scientists.
The giant coat really never directed me away from that reading, but that's really funny to think about.
Obviously, the giant coat actually, even though it would work for the other one too, what gave me that reading, because I could totally see a kid walking into a lab with a adult's lab coat on, trying to pretend that he was a scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you just spent more time than me watching Operation Kids Next Door.
I do like Kids Next Door. That was a good show.
Yeah, it's a great cartoon. I kid, but it's a great cartoon.
You kid.
Yes, that's exactly what I said, and I meant it. And I won't take it back. Okay, so I discovered in looking at Charles Addams cartoons, I actually found one that wasn't an Addams family. It was an homage that somebody did, but I still thought was funny, and so I thought I'd share it here. And because it fits into the theme, not only my love of the Addams family, so Gomez is on the phone, and Thing is and his box are laid on the ground, and he has the knocked out Emanata as Thing, the hand is laying on the floor, and from the phone the operator reads, "Ha! I've been a 9/11 operator way too long to fall for that. Nobody gets a concussion from high-fiving, pal."
Can you imagine trying to say, "Hello, 911. My hand is knocked out."
Well, you just say, Thing. Anyway, but yeah, that was I thought that was this is Scott Hilburn did this comic, and I think he did a really good job of capturing it's a little zanier than Addams stuff, but I think it really captures the energy of that kind of gag, and it falls into this, it's telling one panel, it's got and through the marriage of the art and the dialogue is telling a story beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And so I think it fits in with that idea of a one panel comic as comics. So I snag it to share. So and I can look at it later, because who knows when I'll find that thing again.
I remember the Addams Family comic that stuck out to me the most was always one where both Wednesday and Pugsley are downstairs lighting a fire in the fireplace, and Morticia and Gomez are watching from above, saying, "How cute! They still believe in Santa Claus."
Yeah, I'm a fan of that myself. I love that of the Addams Family is as a strip, and Addams stuff as a whole is both like subversive and traditional at the same time.
Right.
It depends upon the traditional to make its subversion work, but even in the way that the subversion is played out, it reinforces the importance of the traditional. And I think that's something that I don't know that I've seen anybody really be able to carry on with that. I mean, that's not entirely true. I mean, like Batman, as written under the editorship of Denny O'Neil, I think grabbed that same kind of energy. That Batman was the Dark Knight and the justice that he sought for was the justice for other people. And I thought that. So I mean, there's some of that the subversion of the norms that Batman represents are there in service of the normies. But yeah, Fizz says, I have not read any Addams Family strips. I cannot recommend them enough. I absolutely love the Addams Family strips. And it was also fun to read about like how much Charles Addams was involved in the production of the 60s series with John Astin and Carolyn Jones. I might remember her name wrong.
Yeah, which I think that series holds up much better than most other contemporaries of its time.
I agree.
It's iconic, at least.
Yeah. Well, and it's really one of the other things I found. I saw some of the production stills, and I didn't realize, like, everything is gray tones, right? And it was filmed to be in black and white. but the setting was super garishly colored. The actual sets, because they needed to pop specific kinds of grays,
Yeah.
so that the dark colors
right.
that everyone was wearing would stand out from the background. And so there's lots of reds and lots of pinks and lots of fuchsias and salmons.
That's hilarious.
It's a
Well, they did a
very
lot of effects like that back in the day as well. Like when you wanted somebody to do like a face change, what you could do is you could like put like heavy makeup on them that was like colored, and then you could put like a filter in front of the camera so they just looked normal. And then when you took the filter away, then the makeup would pop out and look like they got older all of a sudden or whatever, that you can't really do later without still also filming in black and white and then recolorizing it.
Forrester says, my favorite scientist spot gag shows a sulking, depressed werewolf in a lab coat. An assistant says, but at least you cured baldness. I think, isn't that a Far Side? I think I've read that one. I brought some Far Side with me. I was hoping to pull some out to demonstrate today, but I just ran out of time. I didn't get home from work till after 10, and not till 10, till 10 after 6, and my computer took forever to turn back on again. So that's part of why we started late today.
We gotta get you a new computer, man.
It's on the agenda. I need to just, yeah. Anyway, I've got the okay from the boss to order one, but I just haven't got around to it yet. So it's a bad scene for me. Well, I talked through everything that I brought to talk about much faster than I anticipated.
All right, so is here where you want to
the Groovy
bring
Goose
on-
is awesome.
Thank you.
I will say that much.
Do you want to start, like we were saying, bringing on people from the audience?
Oh yeah, jeepers! I totally forgot about that part. I meant to do that way sooner. I wanted to set up my original plan had been to set up the contest or the activity, and then put this out in there, and I totally forgot about it. So guys, if you're there chatting, if you're out there in the chat and you want to come on and say a few words, you want to get on the show and talk about One Panel Comics or tell me how I'm wrong or whatever you feel like, say, tell me this show was better when Twitless was on it. Probably. Then come on in. The link is down there in the chat. Click it on there and join on in. Join on in the stuff. So I guess I can spend a little bit of time here talking about some projects that I have been working on in between day job stuff, which is that we are Star Storyteller out there in the world, and I are working on a comic. I think I've mentioned that on stream before, but I just finished rewriting the climax to this book, to this graphic novel, and it is going to be something dynamite. And we are going to have ashcan editions of like the first chapter available for sale at the Minicon. And Star is planning on coming into Bluffs for that. So
Cool.
yeah, I wasn't 100% expecting that, but she said she needed to take a vacation to check it out. So okay. We're here. So that's going to be fun. And I'm still officially working with Mrs. H on Forces, but I have not gotten that next page done yet because life is taking too much time. I got to get back on that horse, man.
I know the feeling.
It sucks. So, but yeah, that's what I've gotten. Has anybody who is watching here, has anybody seen read the Grabbit comic?
I don't think so.
Grabbit, the rabbit superhero. It is like a funny animal in our superhero universe. and it was published up on. Oh, really?
They are all in Discord.
They are all on the Discord as well, and
Clearly, why you
be,
asked people watching, because you know I've seen them.
Yeah. Well, I knew you had access to it. I'm not sure. I couldn't remember if you'd.
I put like reactions and stuff.
If you'd read them, I couldn't remember. We are going to be putting them up on Global Comics. We're doing some backside design, but also Taliesin, the artist for that project, has done some more that need to be colored and lettered still. So we'll be in the next month or so. We'll be having some more grab it strips, and hopefully be putting them up on Global Comics for people to check out there as well. And I was going to show some off here, but there's something wrong with our website, which I just discovered. So,
Been there.
Oh my goodness. Thought I had just taken care of that, but
Why is this child so upset?
You will have to find out.
Did he lose his glasses? Because if they're expensive, that'd be a reasonable thing to be upset about.
sorry. I know this is super exciting, fun things to say, but I'm trying to figure a thing out.
See, I was just playing chicken to see who would break the silence first.
Yeah. I'm not super like happy right now. And I'm not trying to be dismissive or whatever. You guys seem great, but I probably should just hold off on this for a little later, honestly.
Probably.
You should probably. What the hell are you doing? Okay.
You're in the middle of a live show, man.
You're in the middle of a live show. You can't just do this. Well, that's why I have you guys are supposed to cover for me, right?
I'm busy drawing.
Maybe.
Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
Possibly.
I need Twitless here. He always knows what to say.
Yeah, you always know. That's true. But he's too busy doing important, real things.
Are real things really all that important?
I think they are.
It's the modern age, you know.
Well, it's like this thing that was said the other day. Somebody said to me, "What on earth?" The other day, somebody on the internet said that growing up was the dumbest thing they've ever done. And I said, unfortunately, it's probably the only important thing you've ever done.
I mean, I think both of those things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think it's probably fair.
Yeah.
Especially because what a lot of people mean by growing up is the idea that they've lost some sort of like sense of wonder and joy in life.
See, no,
Which-
if I said that, I would mean physically aging.
No.
Yeah. Getting old has definitely not been my favorite thing. I will be completely honest about that. So, on the one hand, I felt like an old man for a very long time. On the other hand, I didn't really know what that meant until I actually got old.
Yeah. Like, oh no, my body's finally catching up to my spirit.
Oh yeah, that was a bad decision. But yeah,
But
it's
for a
one
lot
of those
people, it's
things.
the other way around. Their spirit has to catch up to their body.
Could be. I had the other day. I was getting ready for work, and so I brushed my hair all out, and I pulled my hair back, and like my entire temple was just like really like speckled with white hairs, right? Not just like down here where it gets covered up on the rest of my hair, but like for like a good length of hair all the way back. Like, yeah, that's probably been waiting for a while. Like, because my hair is long, it covers up the sheer mass of it dilutes the amount of gray that I have. But when I pull it back, it really concentrates it right in the temples. So, but that's okay because eventually I'm gonna have like big old Gandalf head of hair, and then I'll grow a giant Merlin beard, and it'll be awesome.
See, my hair is so platinum blonde that I probably won't even notice that I have white hairs until I just completely have no luster left in the whole mane.
Yeah, that is how what happened to my wife's granddad, her grandpa Tittenser. That's exactly how it shook out with him. Is he had just that shock white hair, the shock blonde hair, and he stayed blonde for a really long time, but I think probably by the time he hit 60, then his hair just went white.
No, he probably already had white in there, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
I'm sure.
Until it overtook, you just would never notice.
Exactly. By contrast, my dad had super dark hair, and his hair started getting noticeably gray by the time he was like 27.
Yeah.
Well, Steve Martin pulled it off.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. I'm not sure if the captain was able to stick around or not for that, but that's amazing.
What, are you taking the picture? Or?
Yeah, your
Okay.
picture was great, man. I love that.
Thank you.
So since we're talking about the project I've got in the works somewhere, I've got one that I wrote up, but I'm not sure whether I can talk about it yet because it was for somebody else. I'm not sure if he's announced that project yet or not. So, I did get in the mail last week Changeling 2 from Brett McGowan and his little team. I quite enjoyed that book. I have I think one complaint though is there's not enough of it.
One of those
Yeah.
rush through the story comics?
No, not that at all. There's
No?
just, it goes through pretty quick. It's a fast read, but that fits with its intended audience. But it's just that it's a 22-page comic, and it's very much written with the feeling for a monthly book, right?
Oh.
But you know you're not getting another book next month.
I'm not getting another. I'll probably get a book next year, right?
Yeah.
And just because the art team they've got real jobs, right? So I mean, it's one of those things that gets in between stuff. So I mean, it's got an appropriate amount of comic for a 22-page comic, right? It's not hyper uncompressed or anything. It's just one of those that takes a little bit of time. But it's just their turnaround time is kind of slow. So so yeah, I'm liking it. There is one story quibble, but I mean, it's nothing that I don't think won't probably get addressed, in the next few issues. It's just that the next few issues might be a while.
Right.
You'd have to sit on that story quibble.
The Netflix effect.
Something. Well, I mean, also part of it's because it's McGowan and his team are very specifically like leaning into like manga sensibilities, right? In some of the types of story tropes they're using and the type of art style they're using, are very intentionally hitting some of those notes, which is, I think, fine for the story they're working on. But the problem with it is, like, I've gotten used to consuming that type of material in Tankobon, right? So you get 200 pages of that and at a time, not 20.
Gotcha.
Right? So even though, like, so that's the rub, so to speak. And I'm not like I'm mad about it or anything, because I'm not. I really wish there was enough of a market for their comic to justify,
right?
That kind of
only thing they worked on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like Kylo Ren. More.
Don't we all wish there was enough of a market for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually done, I think.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. That is amazing.
On that, after all, I guess I didn't need that extra space. And I hope you appreciate my reference to Action Comics #1 there.
Yeah. I guess I hadn't picked up on that until now, but it is awesome. So,
but we are still missing something, because the character specifically was a child wearing
glasses.
Well, I'm going to go with Rhys's idea of saying the goose stole the glasses.
I don't think that was my idea. Don't blame this on me.
Oh, wait, that's right. Metal, you were the one who said that, wasn't you?
No, I said if he lost his glasses, I didn't necessarily say the goose stole it.
Ah. Well, then I'm 100% original.
That's amazing. So, well, gentlemen, I think we have proven that the secret sauce to this show is in fact Twitless.
No. Well, it also thanks to everybody showed up. Last time there was quite a bit more people who were participating in throwing
the drawing
things around and even drawing. There were just a few usual short of making this one exciting.
Yeah, I think so. But I do appreciate everybody who did come.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the suggestions. Hope you had fun with us rambling a little bit on my theory about this. And I will have to say, if you're I think this absolutely qualifies as a cartoon and a comic.
Alrighty.
So there you go. Under my edict as the Pendragon of the Mattriarchy. I have ruled and found this winning. So you have been weighed and found winning.
I was gonna say, weighed and measured.
So we do not have a show scheduled up for next week yet. I believe the week after is when Twitless will be back from his whatever you want to call it, and we may be doing our pick up on the ages of comics at that point. But I don't know what we're doing next week for sure, so we'll have to get that figured out.
Worst case scenario, emergency AMA.
But yeah, I think we might end up doing that. Actually, I think that would be a fun one. But yeah, so that's the story. I will say, if you guys follow me over on Facebook, Dave, who was with us, and I think ended up leaving earlier, but that's fine if he did. He gave us some amazing suggestions of things to make sure we talk about as we look at the ages, including the DC's experiments in 100-page giants, the increase in comics prices, and that kind of stuff. It's very interesting stuff to think about as we formulate ideas around the Bronze Age and beyond. So, which I think that will be in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks. Anyway.
And then hopefully sometime next month, we return to the Comics Creators Club.
Yes. We just need to figure out who we want to invite and rope into that kind of thing and on that kind of stuff.
Someday I'll actually be done enough with my projects to be on that.
So, anyhow, until next week, I would recommend you guys go over to Global Comics. Check out My Superhero Power Sucks, but I Make the Most of It by Mrs. H, also known as... what does she go by on there? Kappa Cafe Comics, something like that.
Is it?
She just dropped in the chapter, and it is. She put an NSFW on it for violence and a rather sad scene at the very end of the comic. It's not really quite NSFW, but kind of. Anyway, it's great chapter she just dropped last week. So if you're following that story at all, it's amazing. What else have I been reading that people ought to go check out? I can't think of anything in a minute. So anyway, Ethereal Dragon has showed up just at the end of the show.
Oh,
so thank you.
Draw a comic.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah. Quick draw a comic. Except we didn't keep the list up, so nobody knows what it was about. So
you'll use my image right here.
No, I literally just took it down, but
we'll have to
anyway.
Turn that into a PNG and post it around, and we'll go ahead and share that on what we got. So if anybody wants to draw on the afterwards or whatever, they can do that. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. Does anybody have anything they want to pitch or sell or shill or?
Yeah, after doing this, I might as well post my DeviantArt account as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. I am doing commissions if anyone is interested.
I'll put those in the chat here.
Various different kinds.
Nope, that didn't do it at all. That's the wrong link.
And masterpieces like this go for $10,000 a piece.
Totally some physical comics. Well, good luck moving that.
Well, I only have to sell like 2, comics, and I'm set.
Yeah, that would be how that would work. If it would work, that would be how that would work. An error occurred on YouTube. What the heck?
Yeah, I tried to post a link to the store for xdynamuschaos.com, and then I got an error.
What the heck?
Yeah, no.
It's my channel.
Was it because you talked about the Fed earlier?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll put his links in the description after we do the show. We'll just do it that way. Also, if you check the description, you'll see a link to I've got a t-shirt shop of designs that I have done called St. Joe Design over on I can't remember the name of the platform. It doesn't matter. It's in there. Redbubble maybe. Where I've got some nerdery and some designs based on Celtic insular art. You can check those out. There's not a whole lot in there, but I appreciate you guys took a look and maybe even liked something. Let me know if it's even worth continuing. I will be doing. There's at least one more design that's going to go up there, definitely. Which is, if you've ever read the Forces of Good and Evil story, Happy Birthday, All Your Friends Are Here. Rapunzel goes to the pizza parlor in an I Heart Nerds shirt that I'm going to be releasing on that store at some point. Because I don't know why that shirt doesn't already exist. What? You have read
I have read that story. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. I love that story. So, okay, that's the show. That's a wrap. Get out there, read some comics, and until next time,
Keep making comics.
keep making comics. Absolutely. Later. AMA next week.